What happens when the heavy hitters come together? The neutral zone. With your hosts, Bird Gang representative Casual E and Sean McConnell from Casual Sports, me, Jay Adams, and NFL vet Ed Smith from Easy Sports Talk. Buckle up for 60 minutes of NFL football previews and pick'ems. Hold tight as we preview this week's games with in-depth analysis and opinion and a flavor all our own. Bragging rights are on the line with the neutral zone pick'em trophy up for grabs. It's the neutral zone. Lace them up. What is up, everybody? It is the Neutral Zone. We are on, of course, the one and only Casual Sports Radio Network, KSRNAZ.com. I am Javon J. Love Adams, and beside me is the one and only Casual E. Earl Burnett. And then also we have Sean McConnell.
Yo.
And I am in the seat of a gentleman by the name of Ed Easy Smith. So we do this every Thursday. It is our football pickup. We're a Cardinal show at heart, but this is our football pickup show. So we break it down like this. We break it down into 4 segments. The first segment are games. They might not be the best games of the week, but they're intriguing to me on some level. So I like to put those in the first segment. And then the second segment is always devoted to the Arizona Cardinals. And as we break down the game, and sometimes like Casual E and Sean will cry in their beer a little bit about the game, stuff like that. Or sometimes you'll even catch Casual E going into a straight rant about the Cardinals. That's how he does it. And then the third segment are those games that are on the second tier, so to speak, in terms of interest. And then the fourth segment, that is really, we like to call it the quick hitters. So we keep tabs on everything, and we decided while you were out, and I don't think that Ed will have a problem with this, but that we think we're going to spot you 10 points.
We're going to spot you 10 points. Don't worry, you're still dead last. 10,
but at least that way it's a little more interesting.
At least it's,
something a little bit more interesting, so we'll see how that goes.
So that means, like, if some miraculous miracle happened, I end up taking the lead. Y'all ain't going to kind of come back, though, man. When you missed them.
Nah, it's immortalized. It's
you
right
take
here.
the lead from down.
Yeah, that'd be a spirit.
All props to you can have the trophy. You will make you 2 trophies.
There you go. That's the trophy that you see right there. So tell a friend of what we do. KSRNAZ.com. That's what we do. So without hesitation, let's get into it. Actually, Sean, do you have the standings? I think I might have even crept up and had a halfway decent week.
We got some standings going. We got myself with, what was it, 95? You have 90 in second. Ed just behind you at 89, and Earl now with the 10-point buffer at 80.
10 points.
So you're
80, baby.
You're 9 points away from third, and you're, what was that? 29 points, 19 points away from first. It's doable if we all, take a break.
I see you putting emphasis on it, though.
Yeah, so we do what we can. So let's get into this first game. The first game that we want to talk about this week in review, the Patriots at the Eagles. The reason I thought this was interesting, the Patriots are coming off of that loss to the Ravens. They had a bye week last week, so I'm sure they're going to be coming out ready to do their thing. There's no shame in getting Lamar Jackson. So we'll see how they respond. The Philadelphia Eagles, they come in at 5-4, so it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Again, the Eagles, they're starting to remind me that the way that I refer to them is also the way I refer to the Chargers, because they're consistently inconsistent.
Right.
So let's get your thoughts on this. Let's start with you, Sean.
So you're saying Eagles are going to eagle? Is that what you're saying?
Something like that.
Yeah, I got to go Patriots here. Baltimore may have provided the blueprint to beating New England, but unfortunately for Philadelphia, they don't have the pieces to beat New England the way Baltimore beat them.
Right.
This Eagle team is all over the place. They beat Green Bay. They lose to Atlanta and Dallas. This game's going to be more about Philly's weaknesses than it is about New England's strengths, I think. And they just don't have enough. I mean, I don't have a lot of stats this week. I was expecting Ed to bring the stats. Ed, looking at you. Just kidding. Yeah, so I'm thinking this is definitely a New England game, even on the road.
What you got, Casual?
Yeah, the Eagles can only take pieces from the blueprint. They don't have of course, the main piece.
Yeah, right.
So
where's number 8?
Yeah, exactly. So they have to do it, by the running game. They have to run the ball in this game for sure to keep New England defense honest. They average 127.3 yards per game. They're 11th in the league in rushing. So Jordan Howard has to be the bell cow for the Eagles in this game to even keep bringing him off the field. That's going to be tough to do. One thing I love about this game, the Eagles are not afraid of the Patriots.
This is true.
We know that.
We know this, yes.
Exactly.
This
So
is true.
the Eagles feel like, hey, we're in the NFC East. The NFC East teams know how to handle the Patriots, especially on the big stage.
Oh, right,
so
right.
they figured, and it wasn't that long ago with this same Eagles team. So.
That's why it's so interesting that they're 5-4,
Exactly,
given the fact that it wasn't so long ago.
But I do see the Patriots winning this game because they just know how to. You give Bill Belichick a whole week. To dissect you up. So that's pretty much like a head start.
Yeah, and he's not the type to overthink it. I don't think he takes like 2 weeks of film on you and then second guesses himself. I think he's like, in gut reaction, this is what we're going to do to beat you. Okay, let's find ways to do that.
Right.
And I'm sticking to it.
Exactly.
And then, halftime adjustments, he's obviously great at. I know you were going to probably bring that up, but he handles that when it happens. He's not going to plan for the halftime adjustment before the game even starts because you can't see what happens.
Yep.
So let's move on to, this is interesting just because this player is just so dynamic. You have the Texans at the Ravens. Both the quarterbacks are dynamic, but there's something special about Lamar Jackson. But I don't think that Deshaun Watson should be overlooked as well either. Houston comes in at 6-3. Baltimore is 7-2. We saw that video game like spin move that Lamar Jackson put on the. Who did they play? They played the Cincinnati Bengals, if I'm not mistaken.
He was clouded.
So clouded a little bit, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Houston Texans defend Lamar Jackson. It wasn't as if Lamar Jackson had all kinds of yards rushing, but it's the little things that he does. And so he's passing just enough that you have to keep that you have to play him honest.
Right.
And so you can't just stack the box and just say beat us beat us that way. So and then with Deshaun Watson, we know that he's an electric player. You have to talk about who am I thinking of? Hopkins. In terms of his ability as a wide receiver. The defenses, of course, when you think about the Ravens, their defense still comes top of mind. They're not what they used to be, but they're still something that you have to contend with. So, what do you got in this matchup, Casual E?
This is going to be the best matchup of the probably two electrifying young quarterbacks in this league. Good quarterbacks,
right?
But they both fit their prospective systems perfectly.
Right.
I wouldn't compare them to each other because they're two different quarterbacks. Watson is a passer from the pocket for sure.
Right.
That makes he makes plays with his legs sometimes, but he's a pocket passer first. Jackson is.
He knows how to extend plays much better, right? Yeah.
Jackson is a passer as well, but he uses his running ability to make his passing game easier.
Right.
And so he's a second threat. So everybody knows that. Watson has more weapons.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's making this dynamic about Jackson. He's doing this with not that much,
right.
The receiving core.
Yes,
but Watson has a receiving core. Jackson is the big weapon. He has weapons. He is the big weapon for his team.
Right.
Watson takes too many hits and holds the ball too long, and
right.
Jackson takes too many hits running the ball. So you look at those two quarterbacks. It's like who can survive, the biggest hits in those type of games because, like I said, Watson does hold the ball a lot longer than he should, and then Jackson can run it if he's not, he doesn't have to hold it as long. So
right.
This is going to be an exciting game to watch. Defensively wise, I would have to go with Baltimore. They are starting to hit their stride defensively, so I'm going to go with Baltimore because of the dual threat of Jackson in this game.
Yeah, I got to go Baltimore as well. Watson looks good, but Jackson looks so much better, right? He just looks he doesn't just curl right. He's curling all over the place. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
The Ravens are stomping everyone in their paths, averaging 12 points more than their competition. It's going to be more of the same in this game. And Texans are still going to be, that season. Every season, they have this reeling of JJ's not here.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Right.
It's like, okay.
By now, they should just get used to it.
They should get used to it, but it's just like, Charger going to Charger. They're going to do it late. Texans defense is going to Texans defense. It's going to be. I don't think this is actually going to be a close game. I think this is going to be a Ravens blowout.
Wow.
This is going to be another like you still don't believe in the Ravens. We're proving to you everything you need to know.
So the Watson factor has no Watson and Hopkins factor has nothing.
He didn't see Hopkins like at all last week. There was like hardly a connection there. So I mean, then you're going to look into force feeding it. Right. It's just going to play into Baltimore's hands. What are they going to do? Triple Hopkins? He's not going to complete it to anybody else or something? Like, what's going to happen? I think the Ravens here, it's more about their offense than their defense. They're just going to be able to run all over you. Yeah, even without J.J. Watt not being there. Now it's just like this huge hole.
Yeah, Ingram's going to get...
Yeah, like you said Jackson's a big weapon. Like, I think of Jackson as the tank and Ingram's the bullets that the tank is shooting. They're just shooting it down the middle.
Yeah.
I got a couple numbers for you. 123, and then the next number, 106. 123 rushing attempts for Mark Ingram. 106 rushing attempts for Lamar Jackson. So, on a side note,
who's the better running back?
How long can they keep this up with Lamar Jackson? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years before he just becomes? Remember who was that? Speaking of the Ravens, who was it? Had 2,000 yards rushing. Big back. Goodness gracious, I have to kind of Google it. But when you think of any time somebody has hit the 2,000 running backs at some point in time, and of course we're going to get to David Johnson and talk about maybe backs who have lost it, but they just lose it. There's only so many hits that body can take. Exactly. He's your quarterback. Right. He's not scrambling for these running plays. They're calling Lamar Jackson left, Lamar Jackson right, Lamar Jackson up the middle. How long can this last? I'll start with you, Sean. How long can this last?
I was gonna say maybe 2 years and a quarter, but I'm thinking a year and 3/4. Right towards like that playoff push, the second year might be where you see. It might not be like a big injury or something, but you might see tendencies of like he doesn't look as fast, or maybe they're dialing back the attempts, and kind of slowing it up. And okay, maybe this isn't what we should be doing. And then the following years when it's like, okay, this isn't a thing anymore. Like pass and just keep plays alive.
Right.
So I would say at most 2 years and a quarter, but I'm thinking a little bit more next year. You might see a decline.
What do you think?
Him running as much as he's running right now cannot last, I would say, past next season. I mean, that's obvious. You cannot have planned, designed runs for your quarterback that many, 106 to the running backs, 123. That's a lot of running.
Jamal Lewis, by the way.
I was gonna say, I just pulled up the whole list. You got 7 people.
A lot of running. I think Harbaugh is smarter than that, though.
Right.
I think he's using Lamar Jackson now to gain that threat of the run of him running, so he can use that to work off of that and make him a better passer.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that they can start doing that, because like Sean was talking about playoffs coming around. And
Playoffs?
A playoff push, he's going to take a beating in a playoff game. So,
yes, very much so.
So I think Harbaugh's smarter than that, and jobs are on the line when it comes to coaching like Harbaugh. You got to extend Lamar as long as you can get it. And I think you got to make him a comfortable passer and get him comfortable with standing back there and reading and not ready to take off so quick. But yeah, I don't think it can last that long.
So we are in the midst of. So we're going to go on to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. This game is the Thursday night game, and I was trying to. They just went to commercial, but the Browns are up on this one. The Pittsburgh Steelers. You have to give Tomlin credit. He's one of those coaches that. He seems to catch all the blame, but he never gets credit when his team does perform or at least meets expectations. Right. You have the Cleveland Browns that are not meeting expectations, or maybe they were just unrealistic expectations. They're 3-6 coming into this game. What did you see what did you see in terms of how this game will play out when looking at this game, Earl?
Well, before I came in and saw the score, I thought Pittsburgh would be handling them pretty good.
Thought that Pittsburgh was going to.
I thought their defense would be able to keep Baker off balance, trying to figure him out, because Tomlin's defense really loves to get after it.
Right.
I thought they were pretty much hitting their stride of taking that division over. But who knows? That's why John Madden had to say that's why we play the game on the field, because You just never know what matchups and who does what can come in. But I'm not sold on this Cleveland team yet. Because remember, Pittsburgh struggled coming out of the gate. They kind of a little overachieved a little bit, so they're not like they're a seasoned team.
Right.
So this
plus you got Mason Rudolph. I don't know how
you know how the heck but maybe that quarterback competition right now is an even match because Baker's kind of up and down. But it looks like they're hitting their, they're doing what they're supposed to do tonight. I guess they're winning. They're at home, right, in this game.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean. Looking at the score, I definitely picked Pittsburgh because I thought they were up on a high right now and winning a couple of games in a row and taking over that division. And Cleveland got lucky last week, kind of eked out a win in Buffalo. The Buffalo they wasn't supposed to win. They got some help, but we'll see as the weeks down the line how much Cleveland turns into an actual contender or not. But just playing Pittsburgh right now, I went for Pittsburgh though, but.
Yeah, so third quarter, 11 minutes and 11 seconds left, and the Browns are at 14-0. So what you got, Sean?
14-0. Earl, take this pillow home. Get comfy with that fourth place spot because you're gonna be there a while, my friend. Here we go, Browns. Time to turn this thing around.
You took them last week, didn't you?
Now, see, I told Jay this before. The JB and Benny Blue Review podcast. They put up a poll on Facebook. They said, "Who you got tonight, Steelers or Browns?" And I said, betting on the Browns is like hitting on 20 in blackjack.
Oh, man.
In other words, hit me. I'm going with the Browns. I told you it's my guilty my guilty pleasure of the season. They're turning this thing around. It's my risky pick of the week. I'm sticking to it. It looks like it's paying off right now, 14-0. I didn't get to the top by not taking risks, guys. Picking the Browns to beat a team on a 4-game win streak has got to be one of the dumbest things I'll ever do, even if the Browns are at home. But right now, they are proving me so right, and I just got to gloat a little bit. I'm kind of proud right now.
So you're basically picking the Browns just off of just strategy.
Off of sheer dumb luck.
Yeah, ain't nothing to do with what they do on the field. It's just pure luck.
They've got what it takes, man. They're going to turn it around. I'm telling you.
Mark B. So Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers. You're talking about turning around the Kansas City Chiefs. They really do have to turn it around as they head to Los Angeles because the Chiefs are 6-4, but they're only a half game up on my Raiders. And so Los Angeles Chargers, they're 4-6 as we go into this game. It's got to be really frustrating from an offensive side when you put up as a quarterback over 400 yards of offense.
Man.
And yet you still lose that game. There's that we've said it for many years when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Their defense is always their Achilles heel. Yep. It doesn't matter if you have the game manager of Alex Smith or if you have the dynamic Mahomes, and there's just been another interception throw. So
dog pound, baby.
So when we're talking about the Chiefs at the Chargers, what you got in this one, Sean?
Mahomes, like you were saying, had the return everyone was expecting. It's just too bad the team didn't follow suit.
Right.
A full week of practice is going to do this team good. They'll get right on the road in L.A. But you want parity in the NFL. Both teams lost to Tennessee by 3 points. Both of them. What does it mean, guys? It means absolutely nothing because Tennessee is... Oh, I hate Tennessee this year. I'm picking the Chiefs on the road. Like we
said last week that you picked them because they're on schedule now. They're going to finally start losing. They don't win.
Yep. But you know what? Just like I say, the Chargers, how can you trust anything they ever do? They're going to go on like a 10-game win streak, but they'll still miss the playoffs. It's just what they do. But they'll go on a 10-game win streak. The Chiefs, I feel like the Chiefs are going to get right in this game in a big way. And, LA's playing on the road too. No one wants them there. So
well said.
I don't know. I don't think this points too much to all the blame on Chiefs defense. A lot of this is on Andy Reid.
Okay.
You don't run the ball enough.
He don't never run the ball.
He does not. He does not run the ball.
He could have Eric Dickerson, Barry Sanders in the backfield, and he'll say, pass that ball.
And pass that. and when he has running backs that are productive, but what is he doing? He's passing them the ball. It's like, my goodness, let the dude run. You got to establish some type of running game. But you know that's his formula that he does when he gets in the playoff game. That's why they lose so many playoff games.
There you go.
He doesn't mix that run in and balance it out enough. And he figured, I got my quarterback back, just let him chuck it all. And it's like teams are coming in there shocking them.
Yeah.
They're not back up to that. Man, they don't look like the same team all of a sudden.
Yeah. So
Can I ask a question?
Good point. What's up?
What the hell happened to Shady McCoy? I had this dude on my fantasy team thinking he was just going to come to Kansas City and just eat it up. This dude,
point.
They don't run the ball.
They don't run the ball.
Eddie Reed. Plus, you got to think McCoy.
He fumbles that dang thing.
He does, but he's also
because he runs out like this.
As hell. But you also think he's been in the league for what, a decade?
Yeah,
don't it make you feel old?
It makes you feel old, and it makes you feel like what happened? Because he used to be one of the star backs, wasn't he?
Yeah, but you get hit, even though he likes to. Even though he's quick as heck, you get hit.
Carrying that ball like a loaf of bread.
Hey, every tire loses its tread after a while.
I'm definitely gonna go with the Chiefs, but I mean the Chargers defense is. I mean that Bosa and Ingram, man,
they're playing well.
They are playing lights out right now, and if you don't start running that ball and get them honest, they're gonna kill that. I mean, Mahomes is already gimpy.
Yeah.
You
don't want them two dudes hanging around your ankles and knees, So man, we'll see. I still like the Chiefs in that game though.
All right, so we got to do it. We got to shift gears. We got to get to it.
A lot of interesting stuff on this.
The Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers.
Again.
They played each other about 3 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago. So on Halloween, they played each other. The Cardinals are coming off of a loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I thought it was going to be a much wider margin, but I did pick the Bucs to win. The 49ers, they're coming off of a loss.
It's true.
They lost that was a great game, by the way, against the Seattle Seahawks.
Classic NFC West game.
So they had opportunities to win that game. They did not. The Cardinals, here's one of the things. I want to ask this, so we can take this and kind of stretch this out a bit.
Mm-hmm.
We knew going in this season was going to be one of those learning seasons. Going to be. We weren't expecting them to be to all of a sudden challenge for a wild card spot. But I'll say this to you two. Sometimes when we're talking about it, you seem sometimes. Do you think that you have that your expectations aren't in line with what you thought going in? I mean, your expectations are still. I want you in the playoffs, no matter what.
Right.
Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, or not. Your expectations are a little bit out of whack, and then we can kind of go into the game. But your expectations, it seems like in the Valley, when you listen to some of the shows or you see fan reactions or whatever, that they're expecting. There are two camps. Ones that say I'm encouraged, and others that say you should be better than you are. We should be challenging for a spot. What are your thoughts on that? Just the expectations of the maybe not being aligned, gentlemen.
My expectations haven't been met, but they were never start from the beginning. They were never from the beginning playoffs.
Okay.
My expectations was to be improved to the point where you beat a team you're not supposed to beat.
Okay.
I mean, you're good enough to. I mean, and this team. I'm telling you, they play well enough on offense to win games.
Okay.
I mean, that's a given. They play well enough to win some games.
Right.
This defense is not going to allow that because we make mediocre quarterbacks look like Hall of Famers. So, but my expectation was always to just compete and beat somebody. One good game or two that you beat somebody that you're not supposed to beat. And of course, the expectation was to win more games than you won last year, at least by 2.
Okay.
And so far, we still have an opportunity to do that.
Okay.
I don't see where the hell it's coming from, but we still.
Oh man! You said we made quarterbacks look like Hall of Famers. We also make tight ends, running backs, offensive linemen. We make them all look like Hall of Famers, Earl.
Wow.
ESPN's Football Power Index gives the Cardinals a 14% chance of winning. Sounds about right to me in this game. The whole premise of me picking the Niners here, although I don't want to, is just that the last 2 games. I'll go into this first. Playing a team a second time in a season is totally different than playing them the first time in the season.
Right.
I believe Ed talked to that point on your guys' Believe podcast.
Yeah.
Is that when you play them the second time around, you have a game plan now. You know what their primary identity is at this point.
Right.
Typically, when we play the Niners the second time around, they usually have a second string quarterback playing because Jimmy's hurt. That won't be the case today unless he has some sort of run in on a motorcycle or something. Who knows? But had we beaten Tampa Bay, I would have totally sold the optimistic upset here. Right. But that didn't happen. Right. You know, Seattle was able to beat San Fran in the trenches and keeping San Fran scoreless in the second and the third. An offense that was, you know, pretty functional. Mm-hmm. Those are things that Arizona just can't do defensively. You can't expect them to shut down a team like that, especially in 2 quarters. The last 2 games for San Fran have been decided by just 3 points each, including that Cardinal game. But like I said, playing a second team round is just completely different. You're more familiar with their tendencies, personnels. This game could get ugly for Arizona, and if it does, someone has to go. Ooh. Someone has to go, and I'm looking right at you, Vance. I don't know how to blitz Joseph.
3rd week straight.
Vance, I don't know how to blitz Joseph. Will be the one packing his bags if this is a blowout game.
But it's funny you say that because all the talk this week is about if we have a good defensive game plan and blah, 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 yappity, yap, yap, yap. Yeah. There is no way you can that defense can be changed this season. There's no way. There's nothing you can do. You
have what you have.
Exactly.
You're losing what you have.
You are what you are. Right. You don't have the personnel. You don't have the coach that makes the proper reads or the proper adjustments in game, halftime, whatever it is. Right. And he doesn't put those players that he do have in position. Ooh. Did he knock him in the face?
Sure did.
Boom! Yeah. Side of the head.
Yeah. Oh, number 23, you are done.
You are out of there, buddy. Wow.
Have fun with your suspension.
Yeah, but it's going to be, we are where we are, and teams are licking their chops to come play this defense.
Okay, so I'm going to throw out some names on defense for you guys, and I want your reactions in terms of their play this season and your level of satisfaction or dissatisfaction. Hassan Reddick.
Dissatisfied.
Definitely dissatisfied. It should be a lot better.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't actually get to speak on my my expectations. I apologize about that. My expectations for Hassan Reddick was a lot better. It was supposed to be way better than it is now. Right. Because you consider the Wilkes system probably didn't fit for him. Put him in a new system. There's supposed to be emphasis on sacks, turnovers, and he's just nowhere to be found except for seeing the name on his back and a guy running past him.
And I don't give him a pass, but I kind of give him a little sympathy, too, because they are playing the dude out of position. Okay. The dude is a pass rusher, an edge rusher. Yeah. See where see if his skills are still alive on the edge rush. Because we're not getting enough pass rush, are we?
No.
I don't see, at least not from the side that Suggs is on. I don't see that relentless rush.
And we know he can't pass protect. He can't pass cover.
There you go.
This is true.
Put this dude in the edge rush and see what he can do.
So you mentioned Terrell Suggs.
He's definitely not been what I expected. That's for sure. I mean, but then again, you got to give him a pass too because he's old as dirt. I mean, his years of being his prime and stuff is gone. I mean, we're just trying to get that rag and squeeze all that little bit of water out of that rag. Right. But I expected a lot more from him though.
As expected for me.
So let me
ask you a question about Terrell Suggs. Yeah. Is he playing in the same position that he played in Baltimore, or are we playing him differently?
No, it should be the same, I believe. I mean, they just had different pieces in Baltimore.
Him in the middle linebacker when he played with Ray Lewis. Was he always with Ray Lewis as a middle linebacker?
Yeah, but they put him on the edge a lot, and I think they had different. I think blitzing philosophies, obviously, and. Course. And they had a way better run stopper that you could just get a little bit more creative with.
The ball all the time making plays. Yeah. And I don't see that at all.
Yeah. How about Byron Murphy? You know, he had an interception last week.
Overachieving.
Yeah.
This kid has the it factor when it comes to playing corner in this league. He got thrown in the fire. Yeah. And he's doing a damn good job under the circumstances.
He's giving up some touchdowns,
of course, but that's what a
rookie corner. And at the time he was giving up touchdowns, he was literally our only corner.
He sure was.
So he was going up against number ones. I'm not going to be mad at him for that.
the top corners in the league give up touchdowns. I mean, everybody's going to give up something.
And the former top cornerbacks do too.
I love his attitude that when he gets beat, it doesn't. You don't see him drop his head.
Yeah.
You see him come right back and compete. Yeah. And that dude's going to be. I think he's going to be the replacement for another corner on our team.
How about Patrick Peterson?
What about him?
So we know he's been back for
disappointed
a few games now. Is it that he's just not being used correctly? Is it a combination of not being utilized correctly and maybe disinterest, or what is it?
It's a little bit of everything. Yes. He should not be playing zone. Period.
Right.
I don't care if everyone else is playing zone. He should not be playing zone.
Right.
It's a fact. It's a well-known fact. If we go back to even his draft profile, the dude is a man cover corner.
Right.
That's what he does.
Right.
You're not putting him in that position. He's not going to succeed as well. I was expecting a full season. Let's start with that.
Okay.
And I don't get the full season. Now I'm expecting, game 1 is going to be gangbusters. You're going to get 3 picks. No, that didn't happen.
So let me ask this.
So game shape to do all of that.
No.
So you said people playing out of position, these types of things. So what were your? I think you touched on it a little bit, both of you. What were your expectations of Vance?
Give him a 5-hour interview.
What were your expectations of the defensive coordinator coming in terms of how you thought he would deploy his defense and the players that he had? Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator.
Well, before I answer that question about Pat, I'm gonna go back to the Patrick Peterson.
Okay.
And this is just an observation from one man's opinion, and maybe y'all can see the same thing. But I think Patrick is playing for the name on the back of his jersey. He plays for the name that his team is.
Okay.
Because if you notice, he's always putting himself as I'm the. Today he was on his press conference talking about what I normally do, and this is what I do. I'm the guy that they use for these situations, and he's putting himself so high and relying on the past that he's playing this game for the name that's on the back of his jersey. And it's like you're playing because of your status,
right?
But people have figured you out, and now it goes to Vance Joseph. And the reason why people are figuring him out because he's out of position. He is like Sean said, he is not a zone guy. They're trying to make him Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman's that zone dude where he can stick.
He's not a man dude.
Right.
He doesn't play man
Richard
cover.
Sherman will take a space, and when somebody comes in his space, he knows how to keep. That's not Pat's game. And you got to put that on Vance Joseph. I mean, coming into the season, if I'm a defensive coordinator, the first thing I'm saying, I don't care what my defense is, you're going man to man with the best receiver, no matter what.
Yeah.
And should the coach also, the head coach?
And that's a rookie thing that he needs to learn too.
And the coach is giving him too much because he's got more experience than I do.
And so because he's focusing on the offense.
I'm focusing on offense, but
you take care of that. I got this over here, dog.
Yeah.
Because somebody has what happens now? Somebody has to be the one to step up and say this is not working. And Vance ain't gonna do that. This is his system. You ain't gonna make me change my system. I'm not about to change my position. You know, that's when the head coach has to step up and be like, look, we got to do some different things. We don't have the personnel to run what you want to run, so now we just got to do what we got.
Yeah.
And they don't do that. And we're going to see another game like that. What we thought was supposed to happen in game 1 is definitely happening in this game.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You want to add anything to that, show?
I agree with everything that Earl said. To speak on maybe the personality trait of P2 versus, say, a guy who always says, I have to do better, or we as a team need to do this, this, and this to execute. A certain guy that wears a number 11 on his jersey.
Correct.
That is the cornerstone. That is the concrete foundation of what this team is.
Right.
And if you want a piece of that Larry is willing to give you and be, hey, you can be a cornerstone, you have to do these things. You have to say these things. It's not about what you normally do for a team or what you're supposed to do for a team.
Right.
Do better. Yeah, it's hard to go from man cover to a zone. Right. I mean, just think about anything. You have to relearn how to time things now. Because now you're playing a couple feet back. And what he's realizing is, one, he's not in game shape, and two, he doesn't have the speed to catch up to that.
Right. So knowing all that, how about playing a game and shutting up and just play the game?
Just play the game?
How about that? But in this game, though, it's going to come down to, like we talked earlier, it's going to come down to pressure. If we don't get pressure on Jimmy G, we made him look like Montana the last game.
Yeah.
He's going to look the same way. Now, you just see him struggle 2 games
He'll
straight.
do some things that Jameis Winston will do.
Exactly.
Because he'll try to give you an interception or two.
If you can put the pressure on him, he'll give it to you. You just saw him, Cardinal game, bam, that's an all-star right there. Then 2 games after that, he just looked pedestrian.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the teams that he played after that was pressuring the heck out of him.
There you go.
And I don't see us generating a pass rush consistent
on just one side of the ball.
One side of the ball,
yeah.
Exactly.
Unless you put Hassan Reddick down in the dirt and let him go.
Put his butt in the dirt and let him go.
I say you
gotta try something.
Yeah.
It's not like he's a novice to putting his hand in the dirt and coming off the edge. That's what he did.
Send 5 all game long. You have Peters, Suggs, Chandler, Marsh, and Reddick. You send those 5 all the time.
And like you were talking earlier, can somebody teach this dude how to send a blitz?
Please, something. I'm not asking for cover 0. I'm just asking for more than 4 people.
Something exotic to make a quarterback kind of figure it out and think a little bit.
But it's just a numbers game. There's 5 of them.
God,
do more than 5 of those and force them to blitz pickup.
Right.
Yeah.
Force them to do it.
Yeah. So it should be interesting. Let's transition over into the Colts.
Oh, we got it. I'm sorry. We on the Cardinals. We got to talk what's going on with David. Right?
We're going to go to the Colts. So David Johnson. So let's stay a little longer.
Sorry.
We got to. Hey, if we're ragging on the 3 guys that got to go, he's got to be in the conversation.
Okay. All right. We'll speak on it. So David Johnson, we know that there's been. Did he get his money in there for? He's not doing it, or is it that he had? Again, going back to what I said earlier, there's a finite number of hits that a body can take before they start saying, "I'm mentally tapping out." Did he just reach his a little earlier? When you look at the typical shelf life of a running back, this is what his 4th year, not counting the injury. So in terms of playing, could this just be one of those that he just is 3.5 for a running back? Maybe he just reached his time, but he got his money before he reached his time.
That's true.
But your thought, go ahead, expound.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to put in words on what's going on with him because I'm bouncing up and down. But if you, I gotta say this though, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to criticize him or call him out, and if you're mentally weak, it's hard to get back where you were because your mind is battling, trying to please everybody else and the masses around you to get back to where you're trying to get. That is hard. You can't just do that.
Right.
That is tough. It takes a really strong individual to do something.
But
like
you know
that.
how you fight that, right? You just bottle all that up right in your gut, and you just truck somebody. Just truck them over.
Exactly.
Pop the dude's helmet off and keep going.
But you can tell when he gets the ball, he's just thinking. And did you see the outside edge rush when he was trying to rush the outside? He was like he was stopping and starting. What's wrong with this dude?
Here's something I heard. The running back coach, did he coach Le'Veon Bell?
Yeah, I believe so.
So could it be that he's trying to get him? This is one of the theories that I heard, that he's trying to get him to maybe play a little bit like Le'Veon Bell, because Le'Veon Bell likes to dance and do his thing before trying to hit a hole, and so he's doing it. He's doing a very poor impression of Le'Veon Bell.
I really think this guy has a problem with of course success and trying to keep up that success.
Okay.
I mean, remember, when B.A. was here, he was having problems on that daggone mental error board.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
tons.
He was consistently on that board.
Yes.
And then B.A. got him to talking in the media saying himself, I'm on that mental error board too much. I got to get off that board. And now that's in his head. So it's like his head is flooded. And then you turn around and get a new offense and have to learn that new offense with McCoy and them.
With that giant playbook that did nothing.
All that did was just twist it up a little more.
Yeah.
And now the expectations are coming back. You're going to be the man in this offense too. And it's too much pressure and expectation that one person can. If you're weak-minded, you can't handle that. And superstars are supposed to handle that.
Right. There was a point towards the end of the BA era that they would just stop using David Johnson in blitz pickup.
Right.
Because he'd
Oh,
miss
that's
it.
true.
He would
That's
just
true.
miss it and miss it and miss
They
it.
would put Chase in.
And then you'd have Chase
comes
start
out,
to pick up
boom.
blitzes, and it's hard to know what's going on in a guy's head because there are multiple possibilities with this, and all we can do is just
Speculate,
guess and
right.
speculate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, this guy is also speaking out and basically saying, like, I don't care if I'm out on crutches, I'm not giving up my starting spot, which is showing you something.
Okay.
It's showing you something, but you also have to show us something.
But
Like,
here's the thing: it's not up to him to give up his spot. I mean, his
Of course it's not.
His performance
Of course
is
it's
going to do
not.
that for itself. But coaching, I mean, it looks like the coaching staff is not behind him anymore.
Therefore, what happened in the second half
Right.
of last game?
I mean, and before that, tell me, everybody, before when the question about David Johnson came up, Cliff Kingsbury was, "Oh, David's our guy. He's our this. He's our bell cow. He's our."
and now it's
You
we'll
don't
take the
hear
best
that.
guys.
Now we just put the best guys out there because he's fed up with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So where do you play him? How do you play him?
Line him up as a receiver and let Drake get all the carries.
Freaking tight end. Is he big enough to play tight end?
But play fullback with too much contact.
Because tight end's got to block too.
Exactly.
That's to
That's
your
the
point when
point,
you're talking
too.
about blocking and blitz pickup and all that stuff.
Real quick, what do you guys think about the tweet from his wife today?
Oh, I didn't see that. What happened? What did
Really?
she say?
She came out was like, "You attacked my man. I dare you." She like therapy, like coming to in his defense. Now, see that to me, I have no problem with it doing that, or her doing that because that's her. But
Yeah.
that can point to a little
The root
bit
of the problem.
weakness, a lot of the problem. But that dude, how come you're not talking? Your wife is coming out to try to talk for you. What the hell?
It's not like he's a bad dude. He's a
It's
good
not,
dude.
It's not. We're not talking about David Johnson the person.
Right.
And see, she's coming out back at my man and da 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 da. But yeah, you're trying to fight for David Johnson, what he's putting on that field. We're not attacking David Johnson the man.
Yeah.
None of these sports analysts
You
are
can't
attacking the man.
debate the facts in terms of that. But one of the things that I know all three of you guys have said it. I've said it because he doesn't look quite right.
Mm-hmm.
But because a few weeks into the season, what he was doing from scrimmage, he was tops, up at the
Man
top
got
of the
Hall
league.
of Fame sneakers already in his rookie year in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But those first few weeks,
Right.
because of the numbers that he was putting up, just in terms of catching out of the backfield, being able to do some of those things,
15-yard runs here and there.
He was productive, but it just seems like there's still something just not quite right with him.
Yeah.
After a while, I just think sometimes, maybe this is just conspiracy like I always do, but that movie Every Given Sunday, when they stop blocking for Willie Beeman, it just seems like when David come in, the holes ain't there, and Drake come in and he hits the hole.
Right.
I mean, that's just a crazy comment, but it's like,
But the holes aren't
the
there
same
forever.
holes, exactly the same holes that Drake sees are the same holes that are there, David.
Yeah.
And you can't really blame the offensive line because, with the exception of one injury, they've been pretty healthy.
They've done a good job.
And it hasn't been a health thing. So it's not like you're changing up with guys that don't know what they're doing. They all know what they're
I
doing.
know we were on this a little long, but I heard today that somebody said he's still hurt. How can he still be hurt? How can he? Remember,
The wrist and the hand is a very intricate thing.
That's the one I'm talking about. The wrist, because everybody's talking about. Remember, he was out that whole season. He was out for a wrist injury, not
Wrist surgery.
no leg, nothing from the waist down.
Right.
So I can't go with the I'm hurt stuff. There's something else.
I don't think we'll ever know. But
We'll never know exactly. He got
continue
paid.
to
Until the
comment on it.
autobiography comes out.
Continue to comment on it. Speaking of getting paid, Brissett got paid, but I don't think he's playing this week.
Again?
Yeah,
He might
Let
play.
me look and see. Let me scroll down here and see in terms of who practiced today. As we're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts, we're looking at. Let's see here.
I didn't see him listed as out yet.
Yeah, so
But-
Brissett, yeah, probable. He's probable.
Well, there's a go.
So we'll see how that goes. So Colts come in 5-4. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 4-5 with Gardner Minshew still. I guess.
Foles came back and took that job back.
Did he come back?
Maybe.
Last week.
He should be.
They're deciding, I think, still.
Yeah, let me look and see here.
That'll make news.
What we have.
I think Foles got his job back last week.
Let me go through here. Let me look and see. Because they have listed. Well, in terms of leaders, so you could be right.
Commercial.
And
Baker
we're talking
Mayfield,
about
ladies and gentlemen.
Mayfield. So your thoughts on that as I look and see who
Okay,
we
yeah.
got coming up. So we got the Jaguars and the Colts. I think the Colts really do have. The Colts have to, if they're trying to at least have any type of shot to be able to try to get the playoffs as a wild card, they need to really start winning these games. So, what's your thoughts on this one, Sean?
I'm sorry, I was looking up the Nick Foles. Who were we? Which team?
The Colts and the Jaguars.
The Colts and the Jaguars. So it's obvious that this team plays better with Brissett, but the last couple of games they've been really sloppy as a team. A lot of turnovers, just sloppy play. They lost one of those games to the Dolphins. Anytime you lose to the Dolphins, it raises a giant question mark. Expecting Brissett to be as healed up as possible.
It wasn't me starting.
Yeah, exactly. This game's all going to be predicated on the O-line being able to stop the Jaguars' defense. I see the Colts winning at home, getting right, as long as Brissett is truly healthy.
Yeah, the backup quarterback, what's his name?
Hoyer.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer.
You should be able to just put a game plan behind that guy and beat the Jaguars.
True that.
So the Dolphins.
And the Dolphins, but that didn't happen.
Yep.
But the Dolphins are playing some inspiring ball.
Right I got that on. I got the next one. Yeah.
But the Colts got to win this game because they play good at home no matter who's their quarterback some of the time. So I give them the nod because they're at home in that dome.
Yeah, should be interesting. So how about the Bills?
Is that Kareem Hunt?
Is it?
I just saw 27.
Is he playing? Oh yeah, because he should be
back
back
last week. Yeah,
he's back.
Yeah, okay.
Bills at the Dolphins. This is only interesting because the Dolphins, they're on a winning streak. Who thought that we'd be saying that during the year? And the Bills coming off of that loss where they shouldn't have lost to the aforementioned Browns. So your thoughts on this one, Sean?
Bills Mafia, this is for you, baby. Not gonna lie, I almost picked the upset here because I have some risks I can afford to take, but luckily for Buffalo, 26 points for the Dolphins against the Jets was their highest scoring total all year. So the Bills are going to win here. Almost took the Dolphins just because they're undefeated in November.
I see this being a close game, actually. Dolphins defense, like I said, is starting to just play inspired just from the 2-game winning streak.
The front office is just upset. What are you guys doing with it?
What are you doing out there?
What are you doing? You're messing up everything.
But this will be a field goal win for the Buffalo Bills, unfortunately.
Excuse me, on the hiccup side. They have me laughing. All right, so we move to the Saints at the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers coming off of a victory. The Saints coming off of a loss.
Shout out to Ed picking. He didn't pick
it.
He called that rivalry thing.
I'm like,
dog. Wow,
you probably started listening
and
hearing about it. I'm telling you, it's a rivalry, dog. So Drew Brees did not have the best game in the world. So the Saints, while the Saints are, what are they? They're 7-2. But every game is important, especially if you have Super Bowl aspirations. So what are your thoughts on this one, Casual E?
Yeah, they'll get back on track. But I mean, after the last 2 weeks, the offense that the Buccaneers have been putting on the field, putting up numbers and points all over the place. I don't see them doing that to the
Winston
Saints.
trying to give it away, half full, half water, half air. He tried to give it away.
But
he wants
the key to Jameis the last 2 weeks is there has not been a good defense in front of him.
This is true.
And this Saints team is totally different from the defenses he's played the last 2 weeks.
Saints probably shouldn't be able to run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Saints are not going to be able to run in this game, and Jameis is definitely not going to do all that passing and getting all the balls down and feel like he was doing the last 2 weeks. So you got to give a nod to the Saints, of course, on the road.
Yeah,
and Jameis having 2 or 3 picks in this game.
Things happened in that Saints game that I still just can't understand. Watching our Cardinals struggle against Tampa Bay, I have to expect that New Orleans will know how to take care of a team with Jameis as their quarterback. So I'm going to pick Saints here on the road. Short and sweet.
Let's go to the Bears at the Rams. If for no other reason that the Rams, they might end up signing Kaepernick. I don't even know. Talking to his ear for 15 seconds. Let him kneel on the field or do something. I don't know about that. But the Rams have to get back on track. They have the shine is off of the roads, the bloom off the road, all those sayings. What do you got on this one, Casually?
I think the Rams are having almost a little bit of the same problem we're having. They can't get Todd Gurley to get back to Todd Gurley.
Oh, they didn't have Vance Joseph, though. We got more than
know
one
it's
problem,
summertime,
Earl.
girl,
We got
they-
more than
we
one.
know it. Well,
Man, I don't know
why
about
they
what I'm
speculated
saving them
about the
stuff. I don't know.
knee,
yeah.
arthritis.
Okay.
That's the speculation has been since it came out just before the season started.
Okay.
There was speculation.
Yeah.
I
in the
know there's
offseason about
something
that.
because
So,
he
yeah.
is not the same either. It's like the two NFC West running backs that were at the top of their game a couple of years ago, as you know, the best in the league, and both of these guys are looking like just like, man, what happened?
Yeah.
But yeah, the Rams have been figured out by a lot of teams. Sean McVay's offense have been figured out because I don't know if it's the defensive coordinators figuring him out, or has everybody figured out that Goff is not getting the plays sent to him again, 15 seconds in from
And
McVay.
then they just wait till the last second and they just switch it up on them.
So I don't know if it's Goff, if it's the system, something's just not clicking right with that team, and it's got to start with Gurley.
Yeah, it has
It's got to start with Gurley. If you're trying to save him to a playoff, it may not be a playoff run. You keep holding on.
Yeah.
And then the question is going to be, can he turn it up when it's time for you to count on Gurley?
Put that tussin on it. Put that tussin on that dude.
I don't know why this game just seems like a monkey type.
Yeah.
And the Bears somehow figure a way to win this game with Trubisky at quarterback.
Whoa.
Even with Trubisky.
Even with Trubisky
Whoa.
at quarterback. And I'm leaning toward that too. Just
Upset alert.
Upset alert. The Bears pull off the victory because the Rams are not the Rams right now.
Yeah, the Rams have lost control of their grip on the NFC West. It's apparent, and they're on the outside looking in.
Yep.
Fortunately for them, they do play the Bears. Chicago is consistently struggling to move the ball, even while their defense maintains decent field position. Rams are going to take advantage of the offensive shortcomings and come away with the W. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be a W.
Who's going to get this W between the Cowboys and the Lions? Cowboys are 5-4. The Lions are 3-5-1. This could be an ugly game for some reason I just think ugly game for this one for some reason. But your thoughts on this? We know that the Cowboys and Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper he makes a big difference for that offense for the Cowboys. If you watch that game, what was it, the Sunday night game? Just very impressive with his catches on the sideline. He does a great job. He has been very valuable for the Cowboys since being traded there last season. But your thoughts on how this will play out, Sean?
And the Lions just can't seem to get it together this season, losing to teams you think they can beat and losing to teams you know they can't beat. Right. Dallas will benefit from another lesser opponent. Unfortunately, still be first in their division somehow with this. Amari Cooper is a technician for sure.
Lose their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's the NFC East for you.
Yeah.
What you got, Earl?
I agree with what Sean just said.
Thank you.
At the same time, also, Dallas lost to the Vikings last week. Now they're going to play another mediocre team. I'm gonna stay on this line. I'm gonna stay on this wavelength.
So you picking the Cowboys?
Cowboys are gonna win this game because the Lions are mediocre.
We give you a 10-point buffer, and you're just blowing it, aren't you?
Cowboys know how to beat the mediocre teams.
There we go. So speaking of mediocre, we are into the fourth segment.
Mediocre.
My Raiders, who are not mediocre, just above average.
Good save. Good save.
The Bengals.
They bet not.
You bet not. You bet not go outside if I ain't here. Bet not. So, Raiders got to win, right? Question mark. Who you got?
I got the Raiders as well. Bengals aren't just in tank mode. They have an army of tanks looking to blow up the entire draft process. Oakland will win simply because Cincinnati doesn't care.
Oh, isn't AJ supposed to be coming? Man, if you're AJ Green, you got to be feeling
you ain't coming back.
Like, dude, just...
He's not coming back.
I'm good. I'm chilling.
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling it today. I don't feel right.
Traded him when they had the chance to trade him.
Jets at the Redskins. Somebody has to win this game. This is a tie, of course. But for some reason, I think I don't usually give my thoughts on games, but I think the Redskins, for some reason, might pull this out.
Whoa.
Just because I'm not a Gase. I don't believe in Gase.
Yeah, that's true.
But apparently the Jets do because he's getting that vote of confidence that he'll be back next year from the CEO of the team. But your thoughts on this one? What you got, Sean?
It's garbage game of the week for sure. Washington's last 3 games, 9 points, 9 points, 0 points. I expect a 10-9 win for the Jets.
What you got, E?
Yeah, I take the Jets as well. Their quarterback's got 2 years as opposed to a rookie coming in, Haskins. They both kind of almost look the same, though, but I'll take Darnold over
Falcons at the Panthers. Falcons, they can win against their rival. They hate the rival, the Saints, but will they be able to pull something out against the Panthers? I'm not saying the Panthers are a juggernaut by any means, but the Falcons are going into Carolina. So what you got on this one, Sean?
You know, the Panthers aren't a juggernaut, but they do have CMC, and he is the juggernaut from X-Men, if we know what I mean. I'm the juggernaut. So the Falcons have won the track meet last week, but now they're going back outside where they don't do well. So
This is true.
CMC is going to add a couple TDs to his resume, and Panthers will win at home.
I'm going to take one from the Water Boys coach. Visualize an attack. Visualize an attack. Visualize that those Panther outfits are Saints outfits. And attack.
And don't ever visualize them as Patriots outfits.
Well put. Well said. Well said. Well said. So Broncos at the Vikings. I picked the Vikings, but for some reason I think the Broncos are going to end up winning this just because I just don't trust Cousins, even though they're going to be playing in that loud area, that loud stadium, that new stadium in Minnesota. But I mean, you got Dalvin Cook. That boy's bad.
Mm-hmm.
That boy bad. We saw that last week. He hits the holes like we wish somebody else would hit holes. Yeah. But so your thoughts on this one?
And Dalvin Cook is why Cousins looks so good right now. Period. Like I told you, the system makes the quarterback. And that's what calmed him down is that running back behind him. That's got the whole defense.
That'd calm anybody down.
Exactly. So it's like now he can be comfortable and make those reads and throw that deep ball because he got that dude behind him.
Right.
So yeah, I mean Cousins, last 5 games he's had some good games. Decent because of that dude behind him. Number 1 rusher in the league.
Good baller.
Minnesota's played a lot of weak opponents this year, and this week's no different. Minnesota wins. I don't even know who the Broncos quarterback is anymore.
Neither do I.
Flacco's already out fishing or something. What's going on?
I don't know.
I got no idea.
Shoot, it might be Tebow. They might have put him.
You better off with him at this point.
You might want to give him a call. Maybe that's the Kaepernick team right there.
But before we head out of here, I wanted to ask this. I wanted to wait till the end because it was interesting the officiating in the game with the Cardinals that the Cardinals played last week. Do you think is it overblown the officiating, or do you think there's something to it, especially the last play where they didn't at least review that last play for possible for pass interference? Your thoughts on the officiating just overall in that game, and then maybe during the season, do you think it's really continuing to take a step back?
I'm never going to blame an entire game on officiating. The Cardinals had chances to win this game.
Right.
It was a poorly officiated game, if we're going to grade it. But the problem that we have is anytime you introduce a new penalty or a new way to do things, whether it was the targeting or the helmet-to-helmet or the what is a catch or the pass interference now, refs are now second-guessing themselves frequently. Pulling the flag, not pulling the flag. So it's a mixture of all those things, and it has to be fixed, but the only thing that's going to fix it is time or readjusting it back.
Sometimes there could be a league order put in, too, to just kind of nudge that coach and not give them certain things.
Right.
You're going conspiracy theorist on us.
Because
here's the thing, though.
When you
talk about conspiracy theories, and this is just because we've worked for different organizations. Yeah, I don't care, in the corporate world, wherever it is. And so you see politics that take place. You see somebody that is fast-tracked somewhere. You've seen some people that are where the rules really apply to them, and others where it's the spirit of the rule or the policy. Right. And I don't think that a lot of that stuff is so far-fetched.
It's not.
No, it's not.
I mean, look at the NBA. Rookies come in and they don't get calls.
Yeah, and then 2 years later, they'll get those calls.
Yeah. It's like
you got to earn that.
But isn't a foul a foul?
A foul is supposed to be a foul.
No, not in the NBA.
Not in the NBA. So you look at that situation with that last play for the Cardinals. You're like, oh, come on, you got to at least give him that respect as a coach. That you give him at least the respect that we're going to look at it. Right. But no, they let's just keep Kingsbury. Now you think he's somebody? Nah, forget that.
Speaking of a team that's starting to get calls, Suns are up 104-90 on the Hawks.
Oh, sweet.
End of the third. Just want to put that out there.
That's the end of the third?
End of the third.
Man, dudes be scoring points.
They ain't even tripping. They just, who you want to score, you score. But, so we do this every Thursday. So our missing brother, Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams.
Come on, Ed.
Earl Burnett. That is Sean McConnell. So tell a friend to tell a friend. We have a lot of fun with this. Sometimes we'll cross over to the local sports such as the Suns, the Coyotes. If I know that they're doing well, keep doing well.
Yeah, they score goals and stuff.
That's how we do
Scoring goals and stuff.
Scoring goals. We know that ASU, they are, so we'll talk.
They're playing sports.
Yeah, we'll talk about them at a later time, both football and basketball. Hopefully, they'll do better in basketball this season and wrap up well in football. But until next time, we'll see y'all. As we like to say about this time,
we gone.